Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Lou's Boomer Humor. Today, Addie and I have put together something I'm really excited about. Okay? Let me get in the picture here. You know, I'm so excited about it that I actually put on a sport coat. Okay? And the reason I'm excited about it is this. I got to be honest with you. A lot of you don't know this, but I'm a mystery writer. You know, besides being a little eccentric and a YouTube host. And I've been putting on my Lou's Boomer Humor episodes on a lot of different sites and so forth. And one of them, or some of them, have included my mystery writer groups. And I kind of got chastised for that. Because, see, I thought because I'm a mystery writer, whatever I do can be on a mystery writer site. But, you know, I understand the thinking there. You know, it didn't have much to do with mystery writing. And, you know, I don't mind getting chastised because, you know, I was the class clown. I used to get yelled at a lot in school anyway. So anyway, but it gave me an idea, okay? And my idea was this, that we could look at mystery books then and now. In other words, well, actually, it was Addie's idea. And she really came up with it, but I build on those things. And a lot of boomers were reading back then, and particularly reading mysteries. And what I thought I'd do is kind of take that, not just from boomers, but take those authors and those series that they really liked back then, and show them that there's some of my colleagues are just as good writers, if not better. Most of them are better than back then, and maybe get you started in reading some of my colleagues' work. Okay, I'm not going to talk about my work. All right, you know that's a whole another thing. But I want to stress some of my colleagues because I rub elbows with some pretty good authors. And when you're able to do that, you think you're cool. And all that. But the main thing is I learn from them. And these are people I've learned from, and I hope that some of you will buy their books because, and I'm not trying to just sell their books, but you'll get interested in their reading, okay, whether you buy their books or go to the library or whatever you do with them. But, it'll foster your reading. Now let's get started, and before we do that, I'm doing my technical work too, so bear with me here. We can't rely on Bacharach because, he has this problem. Excuse me for a minute here, Addie. Let's get rid of some business here first. Many of you have ordered and asked for Lou's Boomer Humor stickers, and I've sent them out. And if you still want them, that's cool too. I have to quickly do something though. I sent one out. Somebody sent their mailing address, and I got this back because the label that I put on fell off. So if any of you asked for one and didn't get one, please send me your mailing address again. And the rest of you, if you want one of these too, you can do that. I put answers. That was when we had a quiz. Your postal address to loumacaluso@gmail.com or my contact page at loumacalusoauthor.com. All right, enough of that. Let's get started here because I'm excited about this. Now, if any of you were around during the 60s and the 50s, you probably remember, or you couldn't have, especially if you were a guy, but girls too, remember the James Bond series. I'm talking about the ones that were written by Ian Fleming. Ian Fleming was the originator of James Bond. And this was really hot stuff. This really got kids into writing. Not kids necessarily, but, young adults into writing. And then adults were reading it more and more. Yeah, I guess you could say adults were reading it before the kids, but we got into it, especially, for my age, because I was in junior high school back then, and you're looking for role models and you think you're cool. You're growing a little facial hair here and there, and all of a sudden you think you're James Bond. One of my friends, Danny Burns, and I used to read these and discuss the plots and so forth. One of the things too about the James Bond series is there were a lot, since they knew young adults were really into this. there were a lot of commercial things out. One of the things I remember was aftershave. Again, when you're a junior high kid getting fuzz hair, you know, you want to seem old, and we buy this 007 aftershave. And excuse me, but the shit stunk like hell. It was terrible. I mean, the only good thing was it was about 40% alcohol. But other than that, James Bond was a big deal. But here's my point. Today, there's a guy, and I think I can say he's a colleague and friend of mine, Raymond Benson. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Raymond. He is mostly known for being the third, but the first American writer to be commissioned by the James Bond literary copyright holders between 1996 and 2002 to take over the 007 series. So Raymond was actually commissioned, you know, by Ian Fleming's agent. I believe he told me it was, but if I messed that up, I'm sorry, Raymond. But the point is he was commissioned to write these, and in all, let's see, he wrote, let's see, in total published 6 original 007 novels, 3 film novelizations, 3 short stories, an anthology of 007 work, and Choice of Weapons was published in the book called The James Bond Bedside Companion. And he did a lot of things like that. Now, what I want to say about that is, even though he's not writing the James Bond stuff now, he's still writing with that same flair, that it's the Raymond Benson style. But if you like Ian Fleming, you'll like Raymond's work. He has a series called the Black Stiletto series, which I think you're going to like, and I hope you look him up on Facebook. Well, I think he's on Facebook, but I mean on Google his name. Take a look at some of his books. Raymond is also a Renaissance man. He's a musician. He's written musicals. He's composed music. He's a host of a show, Siskel and Ebert type of show, a local show here in the Chicago area. But anyway, Raymond Benson, okay? Look him up. If you were a James Bond fan, you'll like his work today and some of his James Bond books. Okay, let me take this down, and again, I'm doing my own technical work here. I hope it works out okay. Another favorite among baby boomers and even people today, I don't know if you can see this as well. Let me focus in on a little bit better. These are the series of, and the old editions of the Nancy Drew books. And Nancy Drew, even though these books were written, you know, in the late 30s, I believe, in the 40s, a lot of people, again, baby boomers really got into this. And it kind of broke into the readership of, again, young adult, particularly girls, but also guys were reading these things, and adults. Now, you can't help but like this. What was really phenomenal, I think, about the Nancy Drew series is that it was one of the first series where, even though she was an amateur sleuth, she actually was one of the first females who was treated like an equal in terms of brightness and so forth as her amateur sleuth male counterparts at the time. And this was kind of a breakthrough. It was also a breakthrough for what we call cozy mysteries. And I don't know, you know, I always, I don't discuss with, argue with my colleagues, but I discuss what is the definition of a cozy mystery. I don't think anybody has a clear-cut definition of them, but one of the characteristics is, you know, it's not edgy in terms of its language and sex and all that, so all ages can read them. I'm going to tell you about somebody, though, that I think, even though she's not a Nancy Drew writer, I think she is probably, if you like cozy mysteries, one of the best that I've come along to see. And that's my colleague, Claire O'Donoghue. Now, Claire has 2 series out right now. The Someday Quilts mystery series,
and also one of my favorites, the Kate Conway Mystery Series. Now, I was in communication with her just the other day, and she actually has another series that she's starting, and they're still in contract negotiations. But if you like, where you have those type of mysteries, where you have cozy mystery, female, smart, amateur sleuth type of people, I think Claire is a master of this. I particularly, like I say, like Life Without Parole. Oh, and by the way, Claire, besides being a suspense and mystery author, is a TV, I guess you'd say producer, independent producer of true crime shows on A&E, the History Channel, all kinds of things like that. Claire's been involved in, and she takes that into her mystery writing, and that's Kate Conway has the same type of occupation. It's really exciting stuff because you've got to get to see behind the scenes things of that. Anyway, let's move on. I got a couple more here. Another very popular book series for baby boomers, as well as people before that, even though, again, they came before this, was the Nero Wolfe series. Now, Rex Stout was the originator of the Nero Wolfe Files. Some of you might remember there was on one of the cable channels a series I thought was pretty good with Timothy Hutton, and I forgot who played him. But anyway, it was really good. It really being a Nero Wolfe junkie myself, I thought it was really done well. If you get a chance to maybe look them up somewhere, you should look at them. But the books are really great. But anyway, what I like about him is, again, he's kind of a flawed character in that. If you look at him, he's an overweight guy. He likes his beer. Can sometimes be very sarcastic and blunt. Kind of like me maybe about 10 years ago. But anyway, I really like that. Really like the series. But here's the cool thing. If you like the Rex Stout series, and most of you may know this already if you've been following Nero Wolfe, but some of you may not, you can still read new versions from this guy. Another colleague and friend, Robert Goldsboro. Now, Bob, I had the honor of introducing him one time at the Printers Row when he was speaking or when he was being interviewed. And I got their attention. I said, how many people out there remember Bobby Goldsboro from from the 60s, the singer, Honey, see the tree, how big it, well, I can't do it. But anyway, Bob Goldsboro, and they all came on. I said, okay, well, this isn't him. But, no, but I think it's even better because this guy can write. Now, Bob was actually the assistant chief editor of the Chicago Tribune for many years. He later became the editor of Advertising Age. This guy can write. And he's got kind of an interesting past with regard. What he did was he began writing an original Nero Wolfe novel for his mother as a 1978 Christmas gift. And it was called Murder in E Minor. That was it, yeah. And he remained bound to this typescript for years. But in the mid-'80s, he received permission from the Rex Stout estate to publish it. And he's been actually publishing these things. He published them from 1986 through 1994, and then kind of took a hiatus from that. And then after that, he more recently has started writing again from that. His latest book is called Murder Stage Left. It's this one right here. Now, I haven't read this one yet, but I'm going to. I read his one before that. I think it was right before that. It was Murder at the Ballpark. Great book. Great book. And Murder Stage Left, of course, takes place, on Broadway, because the Nero Wolfe settings are generally there. But if you get a chance, Robert Goldsboro, look the guy up, check out his books, great reading. Okay, we got one more for you. And I don't want to say I leave the best for last, but because all these people are really good. But she's one of my favorites anyway. And before I do that, let's look at this one here. Some of you might remember a very short-lived TV series in the mid-'60s called Honey West. Okay, the Honey West files. Now, the series wasn't on for very long, but a lot of people don't realize that it was actually a spin-off from a series that was written about Honey West, or not a series, I mean a series of books. And right now I'm just trying to find oh, here we go. So I get this right. Gloria and Forrest Fickling ran under the pseudonym of G.G. Fickling, and they wrote these mystery novels, and they really popular. So of course the TV people think, oh well, you know, popular. Let's make a TV series about it. So they tried to make it with Anne Francis, really hot-looking woman in her day there, and the series folded. Now it wasn't. You know, there was a lot of speculation as to why it folded because they made a big deal when it came out. And a lot of it had to do with sexist remarks, like saying, oh, the public wasn't ready for a female James Bond and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it had anything to do with that, my personal opinion. I just think that, you know, the series sucked. Not the book series. The book series was great, but the pilot really stunk. But anyway, I think if you liked, or you would have liked, the Honey West book series, today you are really lucky, because right here in the Chicago area, we've got, I think, one of the best mystery writers around. Let me take Honey away from the back there so we can feature Sarah here. Sarah is the originator of the V.I. Warshawski series. And she's written about, 19 or 20 of them. And Sarah is kind of like my mentor in a way, whether she knows it or not. You know, I've stolen a lot of techniques from, no, I'm just kidding. Well, we do. We look at each other's techniques. But the thing I like about Sarah's writing is she has these interwoven plots that all seem to come together, and her characterizations. Now, some of you may remember that back in, I think it was, 1992, 93, I guess it was 1992, a Kathleen Turner film that was based on her book series, V.I. Warshawski. I always have trouble saying it. I put the R where it shouldn't be, but I read most of her novels, all of her novels. And one of her latest novels is called Brushback. And Brushback basically takes V.I. Warshawski back to a high school crush that she had on an athlete that she had, and it comes into her office, and then the thing comes out from there. But I'm looking forward. She's got one. This is a really great one. Go out and get this one, okay? But I'm looking forward. She's got another one coming out, I believe, in April, called Fallout. And the thing I like about this is it's set among, of all places, Lawrence, Kansas, where she grew up. And it also has kind of a background plot, I understand, I haven't read it yet, about some anti-war protests, which I was involved in, so I'd kind of like to see that. Anyway, this is really good stuff, and you should probably look up Sarah Paretsky if you haven't already. Most of you know who she is, and read her stuff. Now, just to kind of review, oh, look at Addie's still there. Oh, she's sleeping. Okay, I guess I put her to sleep. It happens, you know. I've heard that before. But anyway, while Addie's sleeping, I want to tell you, please check out on Google the names, okay, of Robert Goldsboro, okay, Raymond Benson, Claire Donahue, Sarah Paretsky, and in the coming months, I'm probably going to do some more to feature some of these great writers, because, you know, it's cool to know these people, but it's also cool to pass on some really good information. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you tune in next time. And don't forget to share if you like this one. Well, just share it anyway, even if you didn't like it. Somebody will like it. And anyway, I hope to see you next time, and have a great weekend.